there is so much more to every single person than the reflection you see in the mirror. So when it is hard because you are looking at something that doesn't meet your ideal or the external ideal, really reach inside, ask yourself what it is about you that is really important. What makes you who you are? And when it's really, really tough, I guess the question is, what have I done today that makes me feel good about who I am? And just taking a moment just to kind of sit with yourself, be with yourself, that can be really helpful. We have seen a rise in eating disorders in the last decade. Significantly, we have seen considerably more males presenting in services. I think it's still the tip of the iceberg in terms of how many males actually are struggling and living with eating disorders. What we're seeing increasingly is a lot of young men and older men being subjected to a similar invitation, if you like. So magazines, big pictures of gorgeous looking women, gorgeous looking men on the sides of buses, the displays in the front windows of shops, what we see in our social media feeds, what we look at when we watch the TV. We're all now getting very similar messages that there's a certain way a body ought to be. So I think it was probably historically much more focused towards women, but I think, unfortunately, men are getting it too now. We know that our young teenage minds are becoming a lot more concerned by what they look like, and we're seeing that in the way that they are using social media. We're seeing it in the language that they use now around themselves, around their bodies, around other people's bodies. We're seeing it in the way that they understand their sexuality, the way that they're building relationships, the way they're looking at intimacy. So we know that all of these areas are feeding in. I also think we have to hold in mind that this is a generation who are growing up with this. So they are learning a different language around, living with these images, interacting with these images. So again, I think from those of us who perhaps haven't grown up in quite the same way, it's about curiosity, it's about asking questions, it's about recognizing we don't know, which is difficult, but also kind of using our experience to say what we're seeing is alongside this generation increased self-harm, we're seeing increased preoccupation around different aspects of people perhaps now needing cosmetic surgeries younger, doing lots of kind of changes to their external appearance, etc. So yeah, I think it's about conversation, it's about curiosity and seeing what we find out. And I don't know that necessarily clean eating itself is a cause of eating disorders, but I think for a significant number of people it becomes very problematic very quickly. And it becomes a form of disordered eating, and then we sort of start to set up these patterns around eating problems. I think in a lot of cases what we see is that people become very fixated and very frightened about certain foods, and so the sense is that I reduce the fats, I reduce the calories, I cleanse, I detox, somehow that's going to make my body better, it's going to make me feel better, feel happier, feel more in control. So these are all the precursors to kind of really walking somebody into an eating disorder. People who are struggling with an eating disorder are internally in a very, very difficult place. They are finding it very hard to communicate what it is they're feeling. And so if we can give people space so that they can find the words, if we can be kind, give them our attention, give them our support when times are really difficult, then the hope is that somebody can reach out from that place and can ask for what it is they probably need. I'd like to see more choice. I'd like to feel that women have the opportunity to find versions of themselves in a way that gives them space to explore their own creativity. We tend to find we have very strong images that are kind of created, and so I observe that people become very fixated on certain looks. It would be great to have more variety. I think it would be really important for the fashion and beauty industry to notice that there's more than one type of woman living in the world. There's more than one skin colour, there's more than one height, there's more than one body shape. I think to really embrace that, to really embrace women, would be an extraordinarily exciting change.